Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the talk show and podcast where we have digital discussions from the worlds of TV, film, music, news, everything really depending on the guest talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. And my guest does the vocals for a band called the Dead Deads. We are with Meta Dead. Meta Dead, welcome to Popternative.
Thank you for having me.
It's pretty funny because, well, the pandemic obviously halted all shows and all touring. But a big thing that kind of happened was collaborations. Collaborations between artists exploded, essentially. And Hey Girlfriend is a collaboration. It's a song you guys recently put out. I mean, talk a little bit about that song and talk a little bit about the collaboration.
Collaborations are something that we've always wanted to do and talked about doing. But yeah, the pandemic did give us enough time to actually put those wheels in motion and get the person we wanted, get them in the studio and actually do it. It seems so often you're just racing from one thing to the next thing to a next thing when it's in an album cycle. And we actually had time to do that. So yeah, it's Julia from the Foxies and she's awesome and she has so much cool energy. And we've been friends for a long time and it was just cool to have her on there. And I wrote a verse for her that kind of seemed like her and her vibe. And it turned out great. She killed it.
So, because like you guys do a lot of interviews and you're always asking a lot of the same questions, but I'm curious because you know how did you guys start the band? That's the question you always get. But like I'm curious in terms of how this band was started, if I could ask, you know what I mean? Because you're from the Nashville area.
No, I mean, I think in Nashville, you can kind of like accidentally show up at a party and the next day you're in a band. And so it was kind of like that for us. It wasn't anything we planned out. It was just a girls' night. My family is all musical. So like my sister's musical. The bassist and I have been friends since we were 17.
Yeah.
She's very musical. And so it was an accident, I guess is how I would say that. Like it was very organic how we got together. And then we played a tribute show as the Dead Milkmaids. It was like a Halloween thing. So you were supposed to tribute a band and we did the Dead Milk Men. And then we wanted to look dead, but didn't want to do zombie makeup. So we just did X's over our eyes. Yes. And then that became our makeup from then on. And we named ourselves the Dead Deads and the rest is history.
That was the next question. What up with the X's? That was literally the next question I was going to ask.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm good at this, right? I got it down. I know what's up.
It's one of those things. So, okay, here's the thing. The Dead Deads, and I like this about the band. Yeah, rock is probably going to be the main genre that people are going to kind of say you guys are a rock band. But there's a lot of music is my life. I listen to music all the time, right? So I pick up on things that other people don't. But like, there's a lot of sounds going on in your band.
Oh yeah, for sure. Is that the yes, there is.
Yeah, there's a lot. It's not just like a rock band. Like genres are kind of thrown out the window. Like you artists are paving the way now for this kind of like not trying to limit yourself and put yourself in a box, Meta.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing of just if you start a band for fun and just being silly and not trying to accomplish some kind of commercial goal, you have that freedom to just play whatever you want. So that's how the band started, of just a little of this and a little of that. My influences are everything from, Joan Baez to NoFX and everything in between, just so many influences, a lot of hip hop, a lot of metal. So it just kind of, and whatever anyone was feeling, there was just no wrong answer. Just whatever anyone wanted to try, any riff, we're just like, why start a new song? Just shove it in this song. It'll be fine. And it kind of made our sound.
There's some punk in there too. I remember there was a band and it was like, so there was the Donnas. Remember the Donnas?
Yeah, of course,
so yeah. I remember going to a Maroon 5 concert when their first CD came out. And the Donnas were the opening act.
Okay.
And they came out and we knew who invited you because it was in all these movies and soundtracks, right? And they just like destroyed it. And it was just this cool thing about how it wasn't. like we didn't know there wasn't a lot of like all female rock bands. You know what I mean? We wanted more of it. You know what I mean? So it's,
I mean, who wouldn't?
no, but it's one of those things too where you look at a band like the Dead, and I do see other artists that are all female rock bands, and it's really, really cool to see. When did you kind of notice that what you guys were doing didn't become kind of just like a flash in the pan proprietary thing? Because like that, there's a lot of this happening in the rock scene right now.
Right. Well, it happened super fast. So
Yes.
we just went from like, oh, maybe one day we'll get to play a show in a real place. Because I had been doing solo music for years. I've been in lots of different bands, whatever. So we're like, oh, maybe this is actually kind of cool what we're doing. Maybe we'll play a show one day. And it went from maybe we'll play a show one day to like on our 5th or 6th show, Hailstorm, Lizzie and Joe and RJ were all there. I don't think Josh was there, but they saw us play and invited us to go on the road with them. And so it went from like 0 to 60 really fast. And so we had to figure out like, okay, we have to write an album really fast and like get that done. And like, blah, blah, blah. We did all that just to go on tour. And we took like managed like between our work schedules, like figure out how to do this entire tour. And everything just took off from there. So it's been on ever since.
It's pretty funny because I forget what band it was, but I remember hearing about a band that ended up touring with like a really big band because the guitarist, I think it was more of a metal. I think it was like Five Finger Death Punch or something, but someone from one of the bands saw this like band playing at a bar. They were on an off date and said, this band's amazing. I want to bring them on tour.
Isn't that just the best though? Like that's the best way.
Yeah.
Because so often it's just like, well, these are your label mates or these are your management mates. So you're going to go out with them. And it's so fun to like have the freedom to say, I like this band and that's who I want to watch every night. Seether did that with us a lot. Like they saw us on Shiprocked on a cruise and we're just like, and they're notorious for trying to promote female rock musicians. I mean, they're named after a Veruca Salt song. So they love that. And they took us out and it was nothing but just pure, they had nothing to gain from taking us out except they were a fan and, they would get to see us play on a regular basis. So it was really great.
I remember seeing Green Day talk about how music videos were like in an MTV award show a long, long time ago, how music videos were like leaving and like everything. And I'm going to tell you right now, maybe they obviously don't get like the airtime like TV and anything, but music videos never left. You guys do music videos like music videos never left and never became non-important.
I'm editing one right now.
do you know
actively right now, but as soon as we get off, we'll go back.
I don't know. You knew like 3 questions I was gonna ask, so you're pretty talented over there. Maybe you're actually like editing in your head or something. I don't know.
I mean, maybe I go a lot of different directions at all times, but yeah. So we're I'm editing our new video, which will be coming out really soon.
That's exciting.
So that's under the gun, trying to get that done for our new singles coming out March 5th or 8th or something. So just that video will come out with that.
It's crazy because obviously,
but yeah, videos are awesome. It kind of lets you know the band, like.
But they never they never left. They always were there, I find.
But I will say, I Green Day was one of the first bands that I just really was like, okay, this is taking a lot of things I like and putting them together. It was like there was a punk element, but there was also this pop element, but there was also a grungy edge to their guitar tone, and it checked a lot of boxes for me early on. I really loved that band growing up.
It's pretty crazy because you can go all the way back for this, but it's like bands like Green Day, Blink-182, Sum 41, tons of music would not be around if it wasn't for those bands. But then you can even go.
For sure. I definitely would say Green Day are the daddy of those other bands.
Absolutely. But then if
they
it wasn't,
have their daddies too.
But yeah, exactly. They have their daddies, the Ramones, the Misfits. Like if it wasn't for bands like that, like the Ramones. I had a conversation with someone recently about this. Like the Ramones, like not a lot of music would be around if it wasn't for that band.
It really showed everyone how to boil down what's most important about a song, right?
Yeah.
So you learned like, if I don't have to shoot for the rafters, I just have to make a connection with people.
Exactly.
For sure.
Which is crazy because I love the fact that I can put on like a Ramones record and hear different kind of sounds and be like, wow, this song was really kind of before its time, because you feel like a little bit of these vibes. Like, I don't know. I find it really interesting. When you go back and listen to some of these bands, they were doing stuff like really early on. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it can be kind of frustrating or annoying, I guess, when everyone, all the press is like, check out this breakthrough, amazing sound of this band, and you're just like, yeah, no, that it's very clear whose shoulders they're standing on. But that's just the beauty of music, is that it is cyclical, and we all do build on the shoulders of the people that came before us. That's what makes it a living, breathing cultural thing, is that it's not like, oh, your genius brain came up with all that. It's like an ecosystem we all share to make good ass tunes,
It's pretty crazy too, where you look at a band like the Dead who are doing really well stream wise on Spotify, you know what I mean, and it kind of like, to think that there's like 30,000 people on a monthly basis like listening to your band is actually crazy. If you think of like all the stadiums, it's nuts.
Yeah, it's really weird, especially when we didn't mean for that to happen initially. So we just, and our first single was so weird. We were kind of like, let's just test this out and put like the weirdest song first. And if they like that, then everything else after that's going to be good. So we sent Spotify like our weirdest song, not our weirdest, but a weird one that was in like a weird rhythm. And it was called In for Blood. And it went to 1 million streams. That's
my favorite. That's one of my favorite songs. It's on 6 of my playlists. I won't tell you which ones, but I love that song. That's a great song. No, I really, it's weird when those playlists like really help you find like some of your favorite music. Like it's really crazy.
I love Spotify. I've been preaching Spotify for a long time, and that's weird for an artist that has been making music, and I should be like, no royalties or whatever. But to me, like, it's a trade-off of just the algorithms that Spotify I've discovered so many artists that way. So it's like, yeah, I mean, we're gonna get there as far as how Spotify pays, but just the amazing library that we have at our disposal is just, I mean, it's mind-blowing.
But think how many, because I think I found, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I have, there's a new punk tracks is like a playlist that I listen to, and I think your songs were on that one. I know they're on a bunch, but
I don't know. We were just kind of like, not to.
Okay, well let's look it up. Let's look it up right now. Okay, you are currently on a lot of playlists.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wow, you're on Fierce Femmes, you're on Hard Rock, you're on New Noise, Ready to Rock, Rock Your Block, Rock This, and then also like I'm in Canada, right?
And the 2020 songs too. That was a big one for us.
I know that's
Rock in 2020. We were just like, what is happening? So cool.
It's one of those things where also like, you know how people would be like, oh, let's check out this person. Like, how many followers does he have on social media, right? Like, people go on Instagram and be like, how many does it? Now it's kind of like, how many monthly listeners do they have on Spotify? Like, that's a thing if you think about it.
I mean, it is. It's a real thing. I like when anytime I'm doing an interview, I'm like, okay, how many people am I trying to impress right now? Boop, boop. Okay, I got it. So I'll put on a clean shirt, I guess.
It's kind of tough for YouTube because you see like the subscriber rate of like my show, but you don't know how many monthly viewers I get.
Right.
And it's good. Don't worry. It's great.
Oh, I'm not worried about you at all, Petey. I know you're fine. I'm actually like, it's a whole new thing for us to even be thinking about those numbers, because that's just not where our ethos started.
No, but the thing is, what I'm saying is I would love that people know that we do 150,000 views a month. You know what I mean? But it's not like posted anywhere. Like I have to tell people, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm jealous.
You see it in your bank account, I guess.
Well, that's a whole other thing.
Oh, this performance creative content art BS we're all doing. Why?
Oh my God, you are throwing a curveball down the middle of so many questions and thoughts right now, but I don't know if we want to go there.
Go anywhere I am not afraid. Go anywhere you want to go, but yeah, it's like what it's you gotta love it. When young people say to me like, you know, what's your best advice for a young artist? I'm like, make sure you actually really want to do it and there's not anything else you would want to do. Or like someone that's doing wanting to start a podcast, like, is there anything else you would want to do? Like be a veterinarian, anything like,
okay,
because you can do that.
So I
Because
do.
this is hard. What you do is hard.
I have a question, and I want your opinion about this. I'm gonna set it
Okay.
up, but I want your honest opinion, and I'm not sure if you'll understand fully what I mean, because
Okay.
I have asked some people this, and some people are like, no, and some people are like, yeah, I see it. Okay, so here's my thing. You know the
Okay.
whole stigmas and stereotypes with musicians that are like the divas and like too cool and everything. There's all those stigmas, right? You know what I mean? They're the rock star, right? Okay, they exist,
Yeah.
right? Spotify, we talked about a lot, has kind of literally showed, like from the click of a button, how many people are listening to your art. Basically, you have a kind of ability to see it. So
Arbitrarily, yeah.
yeah, so it's not like, shows you can see the draw and everything, but like, we know now that there's over 30,000 people on a monthly basis, even though it goes up and down, that are listening to the Deadheads. We know that, and that's like amazing, right? I'm wondering, because I've noticed this too, the pandemic, a lot of self-reflection was done over the pandemic with artists. And I'm wondering if people kind of just check the ego at the door, just calm down a little bit, and just kind of like did self-reflection, looked at the numbers and be like, man, we need to stop acting the way we were. If we were acting ego driven or everything, because there's a lot of people out there that were like, that our music is important to those people. So that's the way more important than any other thing, basically. So do you think that like looking at those stats or kind of realizing how important bands are to people will kind of like throw away the rock star kind of mentality a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that mentality got thrown away when the music industry stopped making so much money. So it was like in the 90s, it was like they're just like, yeah, he's an asshole, but like whatever, give him $1 million and see if anybody likes it. Whereas now it's like, he's an asshole, get him out of here because there's 100 other people with a bunch of plays that we'd much rather sign that are nice. So I think kindness has become a currency that it wasn't, even 10 or 15 years ago. So yeah, the numbers I think do make us reflect as artists, maybe especially during the pandemic of like, oh, I should just quit. Like, why even bother? There's no reason for me to keep making art. And then those numbers remind me like, no, these songs you're making are helping certain people get through days. Like you can see your song on a playlist. It's like songs for when I'm depressed or something, or pick-me-ups or something. And you realize in a very dataful way that you are helping someone through a hard time. So I think that does create a lot of drive in us to keep going. But more than that, and the bigger picture of that is just that it's not a place for assholes anymore. Like no one wants to deal with you.
So you understand where I'm coming from then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Like I think we all have become more grateful of our fans and more grateful of label support if we do have it. And we understand that can get taken away like that. And so, yeah, I think there's a gravity to that, but it definitely goes beyond the numbers. I think we're in a paradigm shift of it's not so awesome to be a jerk anymore. And like, it's not so cool to like trash your hotel room. And when you do, you just kind of look like a poser.
Yeah.
Like,
to be honest, I never understood the trash. I never understood the trash of the hotel room thing. Like was kind of too like the whole writer. Like I only want red M&Ms. Like that whole thing. Like
I don't know.
I don't know why that was ever like accepted.
Because you could. It was like part of the ethos. And like, there's a really huge artist right now that I heard talk about this on a podcast of like, yeah, he's got to like live up to that like rock and roll
There's
image.
like pressure, yeah.
And so he does all this like random crap just to like live up to that. But I think that's a fallacy now. I don't even think that's real. Like no one expects rock stars to do that anymore. And in fact, like it might not be the best idea.
I know. It's crazy for sure. No, it's crazy.
Like, thank you, next.
Exactly.
Somebody don't have to pay for his hotel being trashed.
Yeah, it just because I used to be a concert promoter at a very young age, so I know all about like that stuff, like the riders and everything. Yeah,
it's not, but it's my band. Like, it's not in our nature anyway. Like, I think we trashed one room one time, and it was.
But it's also no. I'm talking about like riders are a big thing too. Like you like show up to an event and you're given like the rider of what the band needs, and that says a lot about like what the night's gonna be like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, our rider's pretty simple. It's usually like some kind of bottle of liquor, some chips and salsa, and like maybe Cliff Bars and waters.
Chips and salsa. Yeah, but I've another thing too. I always thought it was easy too, where like I have a lot to do. Like this is me like talking when I did shows. I have a lot to do. You know what I mean? So if I got clearance from the TM, the tour manager, I would just send the money and be like, get what you want type thing if you had time. Because I don't know. I don't want to go search and get you guys the wrong Cliff Bars. I don't want to get deads after me.
A lot of times what we do is like we hit up the TMs early on, the tour managers, and we just say like, yeah, we'll just take the money because.
Well, no, but sometimes you guys might not. But that's another thing. You might not have time though. Like you show up to a venue, right? And this has happened, right? I showed up to a venue. They're ready. They think they're gonna have all their snacks, right? And I'm like, oh, like the agent like approved like just the buyout, like the money, and they were like, oh shit. Someone's got to go shopping now.
That happens to us sometimes, but now it's just like we've been so long off the road that it's like, oh, to have a rider that didn't get fulfilled. Like, wouldn't it just, even if we could just play a show, it doesn't even matter that we didn't get our treats. You know, we're just, you start to realize like how spoiled you were and just like what we wouldn't give to just show up at some crappy bar and play for 18 people now would be amazing.
I was super because I'm a 1991, so I'm 29 right now. But I started I booked shows when I was like 17.
That's I mean, to me it's like if
like 300 400 cap rooms. Like, yeah, I booked like Hawthorne Heights, and I'm like 17, and I'm just like, you're Hawthorne Heights. I know, I'm just saying, like, it was, and you know what? Like, super cool people, super cool. Kit Kat's on the rider. I had a Kit Kat too.
Yeah. I think what you probably learned then is that, like, the more successful and cool someone is, generally, the cooler they are now.
But this is a whole other conversation. There's a persona, and like you kind of said, there is this like pressure that it's an image, it's a created image.
Yeah,
and that's for another podcast. That's for an Instagram Live when you come on. But Meta, thank you so much for coming on Popternative. I really appreciated it, seriously.
My pleasure.
So plug away. There's songs coming out. There's songs on now. There's music videos coming out. Where can people follow the band? Plug away, please.
Yeah, it's so easy to follow us. It's just the Dead Deads. Wherever you look for anything, just the Dead Deads. Grammatically incorrect. The Dead Deads. And we have a new album coming out this fall, so we're just pushing out some teasers and singles and videos, and they'll always, every few weeks, we'll be having something new. So just always stay tuned. And the big thing is always listen to us on Spotify and add us to your playlists. If we can help you work out or cry it out or whatever, just check out our music and add us to your playlist if you like it.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Meta Dead from the Dead Deads and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.